North Korea threatening to build up its defenses and nuclear weapons yet again. The rogue nation claims that there is a need to protect itself from any airstrikes similar to those conducted in Syria, which officials described as, quote, reckless moves for war. Here to discuss, Michael Pregent and Ben Collins. Ben, you know, it's one thing to have strikes against Syria and hope that it sends a message. It's another with North Korea and Kim Jong-un, who is a complete nut job and totally, I would think, so far, unpredictable.
Well, completely, Charles. He is unpredictable. And as you say, I mean, Syria very unlikely to retaliate. North Korea and the unpredictability. You know, we can't forget not just the nuclear weapons, but I mean, there's a lot of conventional weapons as well. So there's masses of artillery that are along that border and millions of citizens in South Korea that they would most likely retaliate. And once you retaliate against North Korea, or if you strike North Korea, you're probably going to start pulling China involved in this, and it could move in a very poor direction very quickly.
Ben, I know that a lot of things overshadowed the meeting with Xi Jinping and President Trump. How much of North Korea was supposed to be front and center? I'm not sure. I'm sure it was discussed. How much do you think was discussed? And was there any sort of resolution there beyond both countries admitting that it's a problem?
Well, I think, you know, Trump has something in his ability here that we can leverage, and that's the fact that the U.S. Represents about 4% of China's economy. They represent about a third of 1% of ours. So, you know, the economic levers could be utilized in an extremely beneficial fashion for us. Look, the reality is that they are very close to having a weapon, nuclearized weapon, and probably just a couple of years from being able to reach San Francisco. So the time is now, and I think that this president should use everything in his capability, and it's going to be economic in this case, to have China shut off their support.
Michael, I keep reading where everything is on the table, and it sounds like that includes a strike, you know, some sort of strike to at least deter or knock the timetable that Ben was talking about maybe off a few decades if possible, but certainly to knock them back a few years.
Well, as an intelligence officer in the military, we war gamed what would North Korea do if there was ever a U.S. strike and attack. And just like Ben said, there's hundreds of long-range artillery tubes already aimed south. And the first response in every war game was North Korea would shell South Korea. And hopefully China's aware of that too, and hopefully...
Do they have defense systems? I know we're sending a Carl Vinson, which is aircraft carrier, but in the armada of, you know, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but the rest of the ships accompanying it, there are some ships that have the ability, the Aegis system, to knock down, you know, these missiles, at least the medium-range missiles. South Korea doesn't have that sort of system nationwide in place right now?
Well, these aren't necessarily missiles or rockets, but yes, they'd be able to shoot down, you know, a Scud launch, anything like that. But it's the actual 150-millimeter mortars, or not mortars, but artillery systems that you can't shoot down. And it's a barrage, and they're hard.
These war games that you guys did you use the chaos theory in that as well? Again, considering that this is not someone who may necessarily be stable?
Yes, but we were doing these war games against his father, so this is much different. I don't know whether he's more offended by John McCain calling him a fat kid or by us moving a carrier group towards North Korea. We would ask his half-brother, but he can't answer. Ben, where do you see this going then? It feels like some sort of confrontation is the end game, but to what degree?
Well, Charles, Obama, it's been called that he was strategically patient with North Korea, and I think he was negligent. The fact is, and this is undeniable, is that they are moving towards a nuclear weapon, and if we don't do something, if somebody doesn't do something, they will have a missile that can reach San Francisco and kill a lot of Americans. And that will happen if somebody doesn't do something. So the time is now before it's too late. So unfortunately, it's fallen on us.
All right, well, the writing is on the wall, and I think everyone agrees with you. You guys are both great. We enjoy your expertise tonight. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys.